We are part of Housing Works, Inc. We are the nation's largest community-based AIDS service organization. Help with housing, healthcare, job training, and advocacy for homeless New Yorkers living with HIV. We're happy to have Erin Bried, the author of How to Sew a Button and Other Nifty Things Your Grandmother Knew, and Cathy Erway, author of Not Eating Out in New York, which is the blog, and The Art of Eating In, which is the book. So here they are. Thank you.
Hi. Thanks for coming. Yeah, this is great. I'm just going to read the introduction to my book, which basically explains why I wrote it. You already know part of the story. Can you guys hear me okay? I've never talked into a microphone like this before.
Yeah, it's kind of...
I want to sing or something. More than a decade ago, I landed my dream job at Condé Nast. On my first day of work, I arrived at the glamorous headquarters, then located on Madison Avenue in my navy Payless pumps, size 11, so that was a whole lot of cheap shoe, and my matching navy casual corner suit, which for me, a then 22-year-old from semi-rural Pennsylvania, was high fashion. As a rover in-house temp, I filled in for the absent assistants of executives and senior editors of magazines including Vogue, GQ, Glamour. My first stop was the office of a certain big shot. When, with trembling hand, I answered his phone for the first time, a woman with a thick Somalian accent was on the other end. "This is Iman," she said. Throughout the day, I heard myself saying things like, "Princess Marie Chantal of Greece is on line 1. And a woman named Liz Smith asked that you call her. She didn't say where she was calling from. At the time, I didn't know who she was. After lunch, my boss got a haircut by a stylist so famous he has his own line of shampoo. It was Frederick Facade. After work, he went to work out. I know this because I called my first ever black car to take him there. And so began my life in New York City. Now I'm the senior staff writer at Self Magazine, and my stories are read by a lot of people. I travel all over the world and sometimes even farther to interview celebrities who appear on our cover. And as a result, I've honed a very specific set of skills, namely hailing cabs and ordering room service. I have photo shoots where I spend many of my days watching the stars be photographed. There are always caterers, stylists, manicurists, even tailors who are always happy to make a quick hem or repair any loose buttons. On the road, everything in life seems to be taken care of by other people. And then I come home. Next page. Are you guys in suspense? I recently invited some friends over for a dinner party, and for dessert I decided to do something extra special, make a strawberry rhubarb pie. After searching for rhubarb high and low in just about every grocery store in Brooklyn, I was so happy and relieved when I finally found a bunch. It wasn't great looking, it was thinner, redder, and leafier than I remembered rhubarb being, but it would do, I thought. You can't go wrong with pie. When I got home, I followed the recipe carefully. I snipped off the leaves, chopped up the pencil-thin red stems, and tossed them into pie with sugar, flour, and sliced berries. After I baked it to the perfect golden brown, I carried it to the table, and my friends were so impressed. "Who makes pie these days?" they said. "I don't even know how to make a pie." One marveled. I was so proud. And then they each took a bite. That's when the compliments stopped. It was just like it is in here right now. Silent. There was a lot of chewing in slow motion, and some like sideways glances. What a strange reaction to my delicious pie, I thought. Then I tasted it, expecting a pink, sweet tart sensation, and instead I got a mouthful of green bitterness. It tasted like the smell of freshly cut grass. Mortified, I told my friends, stop eating, stop eating. Clearly I made a mistake. Just put your forks down. My enduring guest launched into a kind-hearted interrogation, and together we discovered my error. It turns out I'd accidentally bought Swiss chard instead of rhubarb, and I'd made the pie using the vegetable stems, which is the part you normally throw away. That's when it hit me. When I was a child, I used to help my grandmother clip rhubarb out of the garden, and now as an adult, I can't even identify the vegetable in the grocery store. It's funny, yes, but also completely humiliating. So I decided to come here and tell all of you about it. When did I lose my ability to take care of myself? The more I think about it, the less self-sufficient I realize I've become. It's been so long since, this is at the time when I was writing this book, I'm a changed person now. It's been so long since I've done my own laundry that I can no longer remember if you wash colors in hot or cold. If I got pills on my sweater, I'd give it away. My breakfasts often come in bar form, and my dinners usually come in one of two things, a pizza box or a flour tortilla. I've killed more plants than I care to admit, and I've never once balanced my checkbook, much less devised a household budget. What is simultaneously comforting and alarming about my incompetence is that I'm hardly alone. I'm joined by millions of women, Gen Xers and Gen Yers, who either have consciously rejected household endeavors in favor of a career, or even more likely were simply raised in the ultimate age of consumerism and convenience. Why do for ourselves, we shrug, when we can pay somebody to do it for us? That's all begun to change. Now we have entered what experts are calling the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Suddenly not knowing how to cook my own meals, care for my own house, iron my own shirts, or even make my own entertainment, the Millionaire Matchmaker is on later, seems not only disempowering but also downright irresponsible. That's why I decided to do something about it. And the first step in moving forward for me was looking back. My maternal grandfather died in 1956, leaving my late grandmother, Hilda McFall, to raise her 2 children alone. A feminist and activist, she soon became one of the first women elected to county office. As a Juilliard-educated, and I have this word underlined because I never say it, I want to enunciate, as a Juilliard-educated pianist, she supplemented her income by teaching lessons and playing in the theater. She kept her house immaculate, her beds made, her bathroom neat, her lawn neatly manicured. She always had a fresh pitcher of iced tea in the fridge and something delicious like pasties or saffron buns in the oven. She had close friends with whom she played cards with into the night. Even though money was tight, she always managed to give her 5 grandchildren a crisp dollar bill at every visit. She shopped locally and walked wherever she could long before being green was a marketing concept. She was strong, she was prudent, and above all, she was happy. When I think about her life now, I'm truly awestruck, and I can think of no better role model in these tough times than our grandmothers, particularly those who survived the Great Depression. All of our grandmothers have stories about the clever, sometimes surprising things they did to get by. They baked their own bread, saved dough. They grew their own vegetables to feed their family. They wore their clothes well until they wore them out. They took care of their neighbors, and they knew when to ask for help. They managed to keep romance alive without going to fancy restaurants. Since my own grandmothers are no longer alive, I reached out to others from all around the country to see what I could learn. They told me stories about making do, helping others, finding fun, and even falling in love. As I was listening to each of them, I knew I was not only learning their practical wisdom, like how to save money, live green, and take better care of myself and my family, but I was also collecting important stories, some of which have never been told before, and all of which will soon disappear. Their stories are the ones we need to remember. If you're lucky enough to have your grandmother with you, sit and talk with her sometime. Ask her big questions, like what's the secret to a happy marriage, and little ones, like when was the first time she put on lipstick. Ask her nice questions, like what she did for fun, and cheeky questions, like if her father ever made whiskey in the basement and if she ever snuck a taste. Ask her how she managed, or just ask her to tell you a story, any story. I guarantee you'll be surprised by what you'll find out. If you no longer have your grandmother by your side, it's my hope that through this book, you'll now have the spirit of her next to you, offering you warm encouragement and gently guiding you through the essential life tasks that you may have forgotten or never learned in the first place. I hope it will offer you calm, comfort, and above all, confidence. Thank you. I'm glad that's over with.
I'm so inspired. Grandmother.
Probably the biggest lesson I took away from writing my book and interviewing these 10 survivors of the Great Depression was that being rich has nothing to do with our bank accounts. How many 20s you have in your wallet right now, and it has everything to do with your resourcefulness and your friendships and your family and your ability to find joy in good times and bad times, and that's what it's about. It's about, gathering your friends and family around and
it's about the
for
people.
Them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And making the best of what you've got. So.